Hello, everyone. Happy June. Oh my gosh. When I sat down to run the numerology for June, it was just a bit of a shock. I don't know how else to say it. How are we already in the um, in this month, right? And I really want to the sixth month, I should say. It's actually a five energy month. June is a five energy month, and June is really here to shake things up, to change things up, to switch things up. And it's really interesting because if you follow me on my stories, you'll see that I was at an event this weekend, and it went from Thursday to Sunday. It was an absolutely incredible event, and so I was traveling. I was out of my normal routine. That's why the forecast is a few days late, but it was so beautiful and such a perfect way to ramp up into five energy. June and five energy really wants us to be disruptive, to make some changes, to do things a little bit differently. So, as you're popping on, if you're catching me live or on the replay, comment, say hi, let me know you're here. I am just going to make a little comment here. And the other thing I would love it if you could do is share this with the people who you think need to hear this in your life, whether it's your friends, your business besties, people that you know are working towards a goal, particularly a goal, whether it be in business or in entrepreneurship or in their money and their finances, and they're looking to move something forward. Because if you've been experiencing doubts, struggles, burden in 2024, that's the eight energy really challenging you to step into your power. And the five energy is going to be a welcome change. So in May, it was a four energy month. Hello, Renee. I'm so glad you're here live with me. Thank you. The four and the eight have a lot of similar energy to them. They want the structure. Eight is a bit more flowy than the four to some degree because it is very connected with the concept of the infiniteness, right? If you flip eight on its side, it looks like the infinity sign. But the four is here to say, where are the structures and the foundations that allow me to thrive? One of the shadow traits of the eight is imposter syndrome, which can show up like self-doubt, like, can I do this? Am I good enough? Are my ideas good? Is this right? Am I doing it right? Do I need to study more? Do I need to know more? And the four is saying, okay, let's put the foundations in place. Like maybe you need a website. Maybe you need to upgrade some training. Maybe you need to hire a team or a VA or somebody to support you. Well, that's what we were meant to kind of be putting into place a little bit in May. Now that we're switching into June, there's a new energy coming to light. Hello, Aurora. Yay, I'm so glad that you guys are finding me here. Let me know as you're popping in, say hi, and tag a friend who you believe needs to see this forecast. So in June, it wants to change things up and it wants us to tap into flow and creativity. It wants us to look at the energy currents that we have access to through our energy centers and through our codes and work with them. The structure alone isn't going to serve. The structure needs to be combined with this like vital life force energy, with this like spark of creativity, with the the juice that only you can add, that genius that is you. And, sometimes creative people can feel weighed down by, um, overly structured systems. Like, oh my God, I need an email system. I need a website. I need a click button. I need to hire somebody. I need a system in place. And that can feel almost like it's cutting off some of your creativity. So comment and let me know if you relate to that. If following some of the systems, even thinking about, many of us were doing our taxes in May, or, doing financial reporting with our accounting team and our bookkeeping team, which is great. I'm glad you guys did all that stuff. But tell me, I can't be alone in this. Sometimes that stuff makes me feel like, why am I doing this? Where is that spark that like jazzes me up and gets me stoked and excited and pumped, right? And that's what the five wants to reintroduce. So we need the structure. We absolutely do. But We also need the creative spark and the flow. Both have to work together, right? Hello, Aurora. Hello, Renee. Absolutely. Hello, Tina. So glad you found me. Oh no, Tina's getting a black screen. So hopefully it's working. If you guys, I mean, some of you are seeing me. Um, it's freezing often. Hmm. On my end, my internet's looking good. So hopefully it will catch itself up and you guys will be able to see me. So the five energy and the four energy coming back to back like this, I often want to think of it in terms of like the flow and the creativity needs a container to rest itself in. If you have a lot of creative life force energy with these ideas that you want to be putting out into the world, but you haven't given yourself a container to do that with, the energy will fizzle and you will not see return for it. The most important, I believe, universal law that aligns with the eight energy universal year is the law of divine compensation, which very clearly states that the energy going out is going to flow back to you, right? Like when you give, you can also receive. When you receive, you can also give. This idea of like reciprocity and compensation of like what you contribute to the world when it comes from a genuine centered, heart-centered and authentic place, you are able to receive back benefit from it, right? It's one of the things that drew me to the concept of studying economics in university was this idea of net value, of net benefit, that I can give you something and you can give me something back. And our exchange is going to create net benefit for us both. I'm going to be better off for it, and you're going to be better off for it because of that interaction. That's the eight energy year that wants us to develop these structures. Well, if you are only using your creativity to give, it's going to be hard to receive. If you don't have buttons for people to buy things from you, if you don't have systems that make it sustainable for you to share your work and your art in the world, it's going to be hard to receive the income back. And the great analogy for this is thinking of if you've got water moving through a river and the banks are weak and they're like, eroding or collapsing or melting away, the water starts to dissipate and lose momentum. Whereas if you have a strong shore on your river, you've got strong banks that are like shored up really well, and you put water in that creative life force energy in that, it's going to gather momentum. It's going to pick up energy and pick up flow, and it's going to start to turn into this rushing stream, right? And so letting yourself do that, like I need the container and I must fill the container with my life force energy. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down with this? Hello, Josh. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining. Yay. Okay, this is great. Again, if you guys are thinking of anybody who you think needs to hear this, please tag them. And I want to make sure this information gets out to as many people as possible because I'm really feeling that June is a bit of a turning point for us. It's a bit of a turning point because of the way the energy is going to be unfolding in June. It's a very significant date. It's not the peak energy. I'm picking up the peak will be in September, but it's a very significant month for a lot of reasons because June is going to be all about change. It's going to be all about change. I'm getting a few people saying that their things aren't working. So if it's not working for you, you might need to like close your window and open it again. It might just need to be a little refresh. See if that works for you. And if you are seeing the comments and you see someone ask that question, just type that in the chat for them so they can see it. Okay, so June cares about freedom and fully going after what you want, whether you see evidence of it or not. Raise your hand. Let me know in the chat. Do you feel like you're here to disrupt things a little bit? Do you feel like you're here to shake things up a little bit? Do you feel like you're here to be a change maker, to disrupt the status quo, to introduce new ideas, to change the way people have historically approached something? And if you feel like you're here to shake things up a little bit, to disrupt your industry, to disrupt the energy of the people that you see around you, this month is for you. Yay, Josh, you're absolutely here to transform energy. And Aurora, in subtle, sneaky ways, Renee is the five of diamonds. That's absolutely your life path. If you have a five anywhere in your chart, which means you have a five anywhere in the digits of your birthday, this is absolutely going to be an important energy for you. If five is day energy, meaning it's the day you were born, or the digits the day you were born add up to five, like they do for me. Well, I was born the 5th, so that's five is important for me in that sense. If all of the digits of your birthday add up to a number, which collapses into a five, that's part of your life path. Okay. So, really just recognizing, even if you don't necessarily have a five in your chart, the part of you in your heart and soul that knows that the status quo isn't serving to one degree or another and you need to make a difference, you need to change, this month is for you. This month is for you. So I encourage you to take your messages and of change, of disruption, of shaking things up and like shout them from the rooftops. Tag me so I can reshare it for you. And I really just want you to receive any five messages. Like if you see the number five anywhere, if you have the number five anywhere in your chart, to be that permission slip. Be that permission slip to make changes. Be that permission slip to shake things up a little bit. Be that permission slip to recognize that you have a contribution to make. And part of your gift is going to be in creating change, being a change maker, being a disruptor. And whether you do that in loud and rebellious ways, whether you do that in quiet and subtle ways, that's gonna depend on your energy. And either way is perfect. But this is a month to do so. It is here to soften things up, to lighten things up. And the most important thing when you're inviting in change is to reflect on why. Why am I doing this? And I think that it's so important in June to revisit your why. If you haven't listened to the Simon Sinek TED Talk, Start with the Why, I recommend listening to that. Or if it's really speaking to you, to definitely check out his book, Start with the Why. But recognizing the motivation behind the change. Because here's a principle I want you to really hold dear to your heart. The energy with which I invite in change will be sustained in the outcome. Okay? So if I'm making change from just a place of feeling annoyed and frustrated at the status quo, the annoyance and the frustration is going to limit the outcome and is going to be embedded in the outcome. It's not exactly what you're looking to experience. It's going to block what is available to you to some degree or another. Now, we all get frustrated, annoyed, don't get me wrong. But it's so important to also tap into the fact that frustration and annoyance is a message, yes. But what is it inviting in you to expand? Like if you're feeling frustrated and annoyed because the system that you're, operating in, it feels very, limiting, then what you want to do is receive the frustration as feedback. And then you want to ask yourself, what am I transmuting here? What am I inviting in here? I'm inviting in lightness. I'm inviting in playfulness, curiosity, passion, whatever it is. Tap into that energy, then create. Remind yourself that this energy is the energy I want to perpetuate. So that's the energy I'm going to create from. Does that make sense? Are you guys following me on this? Okay, so going from there, let's go into some of the specific details. Oh, let me just let you know. High level, travel, new connections, trying different restaurants, driving a different way to work, opening up your horizons, spending time outside. These are all really important practices to take into June. Oftentimes it is through new environments that stimulate us to get creative, right? Just like me coming back from this conference and feeling super, super creative and excited, that sparked it. So say yes to travel, say yes to adventure, say yes to exploration, say yes to the hike, the grass, the trees, the gardening, play outside with your kids. 5 wants us to embrace our inner child. Embrace that like curious little soul inside of us that wants to play and have fun and that knows life is for living. Life is for living and having fun and playfulness. Hello, Vanessa. I'm so glad you're here too. And yeah, so that's high level what you really want to focus on this month. I'm going to go into some more details to let you know what to expect day by day. Okay, so The first thing I want to talk about is we are entering an incredibly important portal starting on Tuesday, the 4th of June. And it's going to be a long lasting portal. So, as I'm live streaming right now, it is actually June 3rd. And this is a very intuitive day. There's a lot of intuition and ability to tap into your inner knowing, ability to tap into your guides or your angels available to you today. So I recommend taking some time to meditate and journal and maybe reflect in on some of those questions I just asked of like, what is your why? What is that little soul inside of you, that little child inside of you want to explore and be curious about? And can you look at your calendar and block off some travel and adventure? I mean, if you can't go on a big trip, that's fine. Like maybe you can go on a little road trip, or maybe you can check out a neighboring town, or maybe you can try a new restaurant. But let yourself get really like curious and playful, and just trying different things this month. As we go on to the 4th of June, we're entering a very important portal, which is actually going to run until the 16th. And so the 4th to the 16th is a 2-week window of time. This window of time is all about understanding I am here, and this is one of my personal beliefs, so you try it on and see how it fits for you, but I believe I'm here to contribute, to give value, to impact somebody else in a positive way. I believe in the core of connection, and I believe that humans aren't meant to be these isolated silos. I believe that we're meant to connect, that we're meant to like hold hands, that we're meant to do things together, be in circle, be in community together. And so it's so important to recognize that if I believe there's value in my community, what is the value in me being present in it? And it's a subtle thing because it's not about what you give and do, even though you are giving and doing. It's about who you are, what you're embodying, the energy that walks in the room when you walk in the room. Your presence is such a sacred gift. And if you could see yourself through the eyes of the divine, and you could see how beautiful and sacred and precious your energy is, you would recognize how valuable it is for you to simply be in the room. That it is a gift to everyone there that gets to feel you and see you in the room. So in this window of time, I want you to practice that muscle of like in your car before you go to a networking event, or before you go to talk to someone, or before you hop on a Zoom call. Take a minute. Hand on heart, hand on belly. Let's do it together right now, really quick. If you can, hand on heart, hand on belly. Just holding yourself for a minute, closing your eyes if you can, and just reminding myself, like, it is a gift to get to witness and experience my energy. It is a gift to get to share with that. My energy is the gift. My energy is medicine, right? It's medicine. It's so precious. And as soon as you can start to really claim and own that, you really start to upgrade your self-worth. Do you see how there's that connection there? When you understand how sacred and precious your energy is, you understand how valuable you are. And the more you respect your value, the easier it is to respect and have a healthy, loving, nurturing relationship with money, right? Value is a currency. Value in dollars, value in self-worth, value in me knowing who I am, value in me sharing my gift. This is all a frequency, an energetic signature, a currency that is going to impact the relationship you have with money. And this portal, I'm going to call it the self-worth money portal. It's not a very elegant name. I should have probably come up with a sexier name, but I'm going to just off the cuff, I'm going to call it that, self-worth money portal. It starts tomorrow on the 4th, and it runs until the 16th. And so this portal is really recognizing, like, where do I get to build loving, nurturing, beautiful, honest relationships with money, right? In integrity, authentic relationships with money. And I have an announcement that I'm going to be making tomorrow on the 4th around this. If you've been following me for the last few weeks, you've been probably noticing that I've been sharing some different things about our relationship with money. And so I've got some exciting stuff coming up this month around that, and I'll be announcing the details on the 4th. So if you're curious and you want to make sure you don't miss it, send me a DM and I'll send you the details. But as you move on the 4th, so I'm obsessed with the fourth right now, as you can tell. If you're catching this after the fourth, you can still do these practices. You don't have to think you missed the boat. That does not happen. Whenever you hear this is perfect. On the fourth, in order to deeply embrace your self-worth and value and next level that, you're probably going to have to let go of something. You're probably going to have to release the I'm not good enough, there's something not right with me, like whatever that story is, or potentially a sabotaging habit that reinforces to yourself that you don't believe in yourself or that you don't value yourself, right? Some subtle way of not loving yourself, some subtle way of not taking care of yourself. So I really want you to explore that, because through this 2-week window, you have the opportunity to release some of those things that have blocked you from a greater level of self-worth and self-love, and embrace some new practices and new habits that will upgrade your self-worth and your self-love, which will filter over into money. It will filter over into your relationship with money. If you're able to own and claim the value that you are and the worthiness that you have, that will filter over in your reflection with money. Can you guys feel that relationship? Yay. Hello, Rosalie. Hello, Kelsey. I love how these dates always align with things I already have on the go, right? I love it so much too. And the reason why is the numbers are just picking up on energy currents. And if you're highly intuitive, you already know the energy currents, you're feeling them. So you've probably already taken action in alignment with some of the things that you're going to be hearing today. And that's beautiful. And let this just be like an affirmation or reinforcement of what you already know. Some people need an extra bit of evidence. And sometimes if you hear something, well, not sometimes, all the time, if you hear something multiple times, it's going to help to really truly land and anchor it in. Versus if you only hear it once or twice, you might still approach it with a level of like questioning or like, is this right? And let me be that reinforcement to you if you feel like you need it. Let me be that reminder to you. So, dissolving unhealthy mindsets on the 4th of June. Moving into the 5th of June, it's going to be about embracing, well, what does a healthy relationship with my own worth and my finances look like to me? How do I love myself and love money? How do I love myself and love finance and business and whatever that is going to filter out into mean for you? As we move into the 6th, like this is such a powerful portal. It's about intuitive abundance. So recognizing, where am I running stories that are programmed and conditioning around abundance, what I've been told, versus what does my soul want me to know? Like, write the story your soul wants you to know, not the story that you've been told by the media, your teachers, ancestral lines that might not be healthy, whatever it is. Embrace your story, right? Your intuition and your story. There's going to be some strong activation energy on the 7th, some very expansive energy on the 7th for sure. And then on the 9th, it's kind of that question of like, you've been picking up these bits and pieces. Are you in or are you out? Like, step into it. It's kind of this picture that's coming to mind for me is like, you're sitting there and you're peeking in the door, right? Like, ooh, do I belong in this room? Like, let me just peek through the crack of the door to see if I do. And so you're like peeking in the door and you're like half in, half out. And you're like, I'll just like sit here and peek in the door and listen at the back of the row and whatever. And the 9th is like, do you want to just be in the room? Do you want to just like open the door all the way, step in, close the door behind you, sit down and take up the rightful space that is yours to take up? Like, let this invitation be one that you fully claim. Don't claim it with a toe. Claim it with all of you, right? Allow yourself to step in fully. So that's the message of the 9th of the month. And let's see where I would like to go next. Going into the 11th of the month, it's really going to be important to check your debts. And what do I mean about check your debts? I mean, where do you feel there's an imbalance? Either I owe something or somebody owes me something, but there needs to be some communication cleared up. There's some blurry lines, like I owe somebody money, but I haven't discussed a repayment schedule. It could also be debts that aren't financial, but maybe it's like an energetic debt or some kind of like, because to me an energetic debt, it's kind of related to boundaries. Like, I do this thing for somebody all the time, but I do it and I secretly resent it. That's an energetic debt, right? Or I do this thing sometimes for people, and it's actually a covert agreement, and I'm doing it only because I'm trying to get something from them. That's an energetic debt. Turn your covert agreements into overt agreements and be like, hey, I would like this outcome. I would like to share in this way. Can we make a deal? Like, you can ask people that. You can ask people that. You don't have to like have these like subtle like stories and hooks of, well, maybe if I do this, maybe they'll, no, like, just ask. Just ask, right? It's so beautiful. Okay, so moving forward a little bit, on the 13th of the month, you're going to be invited to recognize where some of the structures that you have in place may or may not be serving anymore. So, what are some of the habits you have? What are some of the routines you have? Maybe, there is a relationship, bookkeeper, finance, accountant, financial planner, that needs to have some clarity around the structure, the boundaries, the agreements you have in place. Maybe they don't know your values. Maybe they don't know why you're doing what you're doing. And that's a question I want to ask you. Does your bookkeeper, does your financial planner, does your accountant know your values? Do they know why you're doing the things you're doing? Because if they don't know your values, that's going to impact your relationship with them. And it's going to also impact the outcomes they're able to create for you. All right, going into the 18th of the month, it's a very important day around being able to receive intuitive guidance. So if you are not receiving intuitive guidance, take some time on the 18th to invest in that relationship. Whether you're receiving it or not, that's not even the right way to put it. Recognize there's downloads available for you on the 18th. You might be invited to change the way you speak with spirit or the way you hear spirit. So if you always do things a certain way, try switching it up and see what happens. Try changing it and see what happens. Maybe it's bringing in a new modality. Maybe it's going outside versus sitting on your couch. Maybe it's doing it in the evening versus doing it in the morning, right? So let yourself shake things up a little bit. Remember, June is about change, right? So be the disruption in externally, but also internally. Change things up for yourself. Maybe like rearrange your furniture a little bit, or change your work habits around a little bit. Or if you normally work from home, go into the office. You normally work in the office, try working from home. Like, switch it up. Thanks, Rosalie. I love that. You've always got some great high-level wisdom coming through. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. Okay, so now we're going to move on into the 21st of the month. The 21st of the month is really recognizing that, I want to say collectively, we're in a transition. And many of us feel it. And there's lots of conversations around things like, the new earth, or new this, or changing that, or paradigm shifting, and all of this. And I know if you're here, you probably feel that to some degree or another, because most of us, when we know there's big changes coming, we look to try to understand how, why, what. And so maybe we lean on our intuition. Maybe we lean on certain modalities. Like, that's one of the reasons I use numerology, is to try to bring clarity in the confusion. So we're shifting belief systems, we're shifting paradigms. I believe that we're moving into this energy that I like to call the abundance economy. It's not going to happen at the snap of a fingers, and it's not going to happen overnight. Right now, we're in this like swirling, shifting energy where it's partly one, partly the other. It ebbs and flows. Some days you're going to feel like you're in it. Some days you're going to feel like you're not. So it's going to twist and shake and turn. And so recognizing this, it's like, this is always a becoming. It doesn't happen instantly. It's always a becoming, and that's okay. So as I'm stepping into this transition, this embodiment of the abundance economy, what pieces am I going to need to shed as I go? What are the like dead weights in my backpack that I can remove to move forward with some lightness? And you may or may not know what those are right now. Like, you can ask, is there something I need to release, let go of in this moment that will lighten things up as I shift into the abundance economy? Sit with that question for a second and see if you get a hit. You may or may not, but I do invite you to take some time with that question on the 21st and the 22nd. really journal on it, really reflect in it, go into a meditative state. And if you want to really double down on it, give yourself permission to ask that question multiple times throughout that week, and take a few moments to reflect on that throughout that week. Do a tarot reading on it, do a card pull on it, journal on it, meditate on it, and just see, because there is this beautiful becoming energy that it's like as the new moves in, some of the old needs to shift out a bit. Okay. Uh, let's see here. New manifestation cycle starting on the 23rd. And it's going to be something that's deeply related to one of the downloads you've received this month. So something you were spiritually guided to invest in, to lean into, to explore, to get curious about. It's a great day to start a new routine, a new habit, a new ritual, and give yourself permission to have a new beginning. And let's see what else I want to do. Is there any dates that you guys would like me to look at? Please send me a note and let me know. I will speak about the 30th for just a second, because the 30th is a really interesting day. It's obviously the last day of June, and it's this day that's like really wanting you to reflect on, what is this all for? Why am I here? What is the point of this, right? What is the purpose of this? And it's so important to ask yourself that. And the invitation on the 30th is, how do I step into a greater level of love? How do I embody a deeper level of love? What can I do to create this expanded energy of love? And the really cool thing, one of the takeaways I got from the weekend, and that every single speaker spoke about authenticity. Authenticity is a higher frequency than love. And I really feel like love and authenticity are quite related, because if I truly love you and I truly love myself, I get to embody the truest essence of who I am. I get to be authentic. I get to know who I am, love who I am, embrace who I am, embody who I am to everyone. And that to me is such this beautiful expansion. So recognizing that, what is that choice that you're making to step into love, self-love, authenticity, and loving others for their most authentic selves is such a powerful reflection. Okay. Let's take a look here. I got a couple questions. So if you don't have a 5 in your chart, if you have a 5 in your chart, it's going to be highlighting that lesson this month for sure. If you don't have a 5 in the chart, though, you're still filtering through that energy this month. All of us are going to be facing 5 lessons this month, because it's the 5 energy month. So all of us are going to be coming face to face with our relationship with change, our relationship with travel, our relationships with disrupting things, change making, and those inner child relationships, right? Curiosity, playfulness, wonder. All of those types of things are going to be highlighted for everyone this month. And people that have lots of 5 energy, it might just be a little bit louder, right? So it will be relevant for all of us for sure. I think I had a question about the 24th. Let me take a look at the 24th for you here. Ooh, the 24th is a very intuitive day. Incredibly intuitive day, Julia. So the 24th will be connection, intuitive downloads, and recognizing your energy, your medicine, your purpose, your contribution, knowing who you are. So that's going to be an incredibly important day on the 24th. I think somebody else asked me about the 11th, which I already spoke to some degree, but this is really about trust and those energetic or financial debts, the give and receive in our life, right? So that's an opportunity to revisit that. Yay. Okay, you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions for me and you're popping in the replay, post them in the chat. Let me know. If you're listening to this on my podcast, send me a DM on Instagram. And I'm just so grateful for you guys being here. If you can, please screenshot this and share it out to your community so they can see it as well. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I have one more thing I want to talk to you about. So as I mentioned, I've got an exciting project I'm going to be announcing tomorrow as we move into the this money portal, self-worth and money portal, that's starting on the 4th of the month. But I also have another exciting announcement. And it's so perfectly timed because, as I mentioned, I was at this conference, and it's the first conference I've been to in like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years. And it was such an enlivening feeling to be immersed for 3 days in a room with other people who are doing incredibly inspiring stuff, right? People taking risks, people following their dreams, people, being willing to try something new, to try something different, to put themselves out there, to be living in alignment with their heart. And I have been working on something behind the scenes, and this feels like the perfect time to announce it. As you know, I've been teaching advanced numerology, astronumerology for years at this point. I've taught dozens and dozens of people and certified them in this beautiful art and science that I use to do these forecasts as well as provide one-on-one forecasts to my clients. I am going to teach it live and in person for the first time ever. It's going to be this beautiful 5-day luxury in-person retreat experience in Mexico, and it's going to come with a 1-year mentorship with me, where we meet together as a group a couple of times a month to deepen our practice, so that when you're doing numerology with your clients, with yourself, you've always got that safe space to come back to ask questions. You've always got people who have your back. But we're going to do this 5 days in person together. And I'm just so excited about it. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. So if you've been feeling the urge to study numerology with me, this is going to be the best opportunity to do so over the next 12 months. You're going to receive advanced numerology, the astronumerology, but you're also going to receive access to practical numerology, which is like the back of the envelope ones that you can do, the ability to feel the energy of the numbers, all this kind of stuff. And then the astronumerology lets you go very specific into forecasting and very specific precision with the codes. So yeah, we're going to do it in person. How freaking fun is that going to be? If you're intrigued and you want to know more, please send me a note and I will be sharing more details going forward. But I do have special early bird pricing on for the month of June. So this is going to be the best time, the best deal, the easiest way to do it in person. It's so profound. One of the things I'm most excited actually is to share the energy activations in person. I do them on Zoom all the time, and I think it's powerful and it's great and it works really well. Obviously, I've trained so many people in this way, but I know the power of connecting together in one room. And I was just reminded of that this weekend. I experienced a very powerful breathwork session with a breathwork facilitator, Samantha Skelly, and it just cracked my heart wide open. And, the messages that I was receiving in that were reminding me how important it is to gather in person, to be together to do this. And the frequency that you get to feel, the codes that you get to share when you come together in person. And yes, there's we'll be meeting at half a day to do the education, but we'll be staying together. So having morning coffee together, going for walks together, spending the afternoon on adventures and exploring, those informal sidebar conversations, speaking from experience, they are life-changing. Those are the things that have, allowed me to really integrate changes in my life in the most powerful of ways. So I'm excited to be able to share astronumerology in that way and share my gifts in that way. And, when I look at how I approach numerology, it's really as a intuitive activation. It's really to use numerology to further strengthen, develop, activate, deepen your intuition. And it's truly an ancient remembrance. Many of my students say when they learn this, they feel like they're reconnecting with ancient wisdom their soul already knows. And that's how I feel as well. We all have these gifts, and for whatever reason, they've been ignored or neglected or denied for many years. And if you're hearing this and you're even slightly curious, let's chat. I can look at your chart with you if you want to kind of see what that looks like. And I'd love to have you join me to learn numerology together in person. I just think this is going to be such an elevated experience. Okay, sending you guys so much love. Like I said, if you have any questions about any particular dates, send me a little note and let's chat in the DMs. All right, you guys have a great day. We'll talk soon.